And because it's feeling itself, remember what I said earlier, if you can't feel yourself, how can another person feel you easily? Particularly if the other person's shut down towards themselves too. Well, it's very difficult. But if you can now feel yourself and you activate yourself and you feel and stay in your passions and desires, what effect does that have on everyone around you? Everyone around you, they feel like they know you better. They can feel you. They can feel these things coming out of you. So therefore, there's a feeling of recognition that they have of you, and they can feel your passions and desires. Now that applies very much so to your soulmate, of course. So your soulmate feeling you is a powerful thing. So if you're not feeling you, then how can your soulmate feel you easily? Pretty hard. It's pretty hard for the soulmate to do that. So far what we've done, we've talked about the actual process of incarnation, and then what we've talked about is how joining or attraction occurs between the two halves of the soul if they're in a state of perfection. And also we've talked about how the truth, desires and love are the things to activate within yourself, whether you're in error or not. They are the things to activate within yourself if you want to draw your soulmate to you, right? But we've yet to discuss sexual attraction. Can you see? We've discussed these principles, but we've yet to discuss sexual attraction. So what we need to do is we need to now put sexual attraction together with these other principles. All right?
So we were going to talk about sexy feelings and chakra openings.
Yes. Yep. So you want to draw the female over there, and I'll draw the male here. Draw them basically the same size if we can. Mary's always being different, right? Okay, so now many of us are aware in our first incarnation in particular that we have 7 primary chakra points. Now, what the chakras mean is that they are energy systems, aren't they, of our body? Our body has all this energy flowing through it, and where the crossover of energy occurs they're called our chakras. I think there are points of 192 points of crossover are the major chakra points. So the major chakra points, if we just draw them in, the base chakra, then there's the second chakra, there's the third chakra, there's the heart, our 4th chakra, our throat, our 5th chakra, our 3rd eye chakra, our 6th chakra, and then our crown chakra, 7th chakra. And each person has those. You actually have them, if they're operating perfectly, they're like a funnel of energy coming in and flowing out of your body, and they rotate in a clockwise direction. And they also come out the back of your body. So the back of your body and your front of your body, if you could think of it like. So if you're looking at my 3rd chakra, there'd be like a funnel of energy coming out of both the back and the fronts of my body, like that. Right? Now, the back is more to do with intentions. In other words, what you're going to do in the future, or what you feel you want to do in the future in terms of your future life. And coming out the front is your current state or your current condition. In other words, what you are involved in right now. Do you see the difference? One is your future intentions or feelings of intention about a certain thing, and the other is the actual feelings you have right now about that particular thing. For that reason, you can have a chakra in a different state coming in at the same chakra, this 3rd chakra, in a different state at the back compared to the front. So you could have that one open and that one closed. You could have that one operating in the reverse direction and this one operating in the right direction. You can have all sorts of things happening as a result of the 2 states. But let's simplify it and just look at the front in terms of our current state, because it's our current state that generates or determines most of what happens in terms of attractions between the 2 people.
So can we talk about what it's like if we were not injured, emotionally injured? What would happen sexually?
So you want to start with that, or you want me to?
No.
Mary's keeping me on ball, you see, today. That's what I've asked her to do. All right, so what would happen in a non-injured state is that every one of these chakras would be completely open and working perfectly, and I would have no sexual feelings whatsoever for any single person other than my soulmate. So, yeah.
So how does that happen on a chakra level, babe? Like, how does that...
Well, for example, if I can explain how it happens, it's a really important point.
Yep.
So imagine these chakras are like conduits of energy. They're like vortexes entering the body. Does that make sense? Or leaving the body. So you've got all these vortexes going into the body, if you like. If I draw them like that, like vortex in the body. Now, if I know myself completely, and I know my desires and passions in particular, but in particular I know who I am, I know I have a sense of who I am and everything, then that means my second chakra will be operating perfectly. Right? There will be no problems with it at all. And it's not just a simple matter, by the way, of having the chakra rotating in the right direction. There are 192 points of energy crossing this chakra, and every one of those points of energy would be operating in the right direction, right, for that to occur. So that's how that chakra is going to be very, very open. So if I know myself completely, now, if I come across and I see a woman there who doesn't know herself completely, right, could I be attracted to her? And the answer is quite easily no. I can't actually even be attracted to her. I can love her in the sense of care for her, and that's the state she's in, and have compassion for her, but I can't actually feel an attraction for her.
So you wouldn't feel any sexual attraction at all?
I wouldn't feel any sexual attraction for her as a result. You need to talk in the microphone.
But if she was your soulmate?
If she was your soulmate, you would still not feel a strong sexual attraction for her, but you would know she's your soulmate because you already have worked out who you are. Does that make sense? And therefore, it's easy for you to recognize the other half of yourself. So you might not feel drawn to her, you're not drawn to her injury. In other words, you're no longer feeling sexual feelings because of her having injuries, but you'll actually feel her real condition because you know yourself and you're recognizing yourself in the other half of you. Does that make sense?
So do you think it's true? Because you're sexually attracted to me, babe, I know. And I certainly have a lot of injury in this area.
Yeah.
Would you say that our sexual union or matching would not be complete or in full intensity until I work through those injuries?
Definitely cannot be.
But you would still have an attraction for me.
Well, let me talk about how attraction actually works. Yeah. It doesn't actually work by the other person's emotion. It works when the other person's emotion affects yours in such a way that there's a connection of energy flow, and then energy flows through you, through yourself. And it's your own energy you're actually feeling that's sexual in nature, not the other person's. Do you understand?
You need to explain that a bit more.
How can I explain this in a way that's easy to understand?
Do you want to use an injured example then?
If we use an injured example, it's sometimes easier to explain. Like, for example, let's say I, instead of being completely open with this chakra, in other words, everything being right with that chakra, I have a feeling of neediness directed out of me towards a woman. Right? The feeling is in my childhood that I'm probably denying is an emotion that my mother never really cared about me, never hugged me, never really felt love from her. I always felt like my mother didn't like men, and so therefore I feel like she doesn't like me. And instead of being angry with my mother about that, I decided that the best way to handle that emotionally is to try hard to get her approval all the time. In other words, I'm now needy for the woman's attention and approval. So that's coming out of me. I've drawn a different colour to show that it's not healed, but there's a feeling coming out of me here where I haven't healed this area of myself, and I have a needy feeling going towards the woman. Now, let's say the woman is very similar to my mother in that she has very similar emotions coming out of her that my mother had. In other words, she's angry with men, she feels like she wants to dominate a man, and she wants a needy man to control. That's what she wants. So now, myself and her will be able to have a flow of energy flowing through this second chakra. Agreed? Now, because it's now flowing, this energy is now flowing, even though it's flowing because of an error, I will now feel a sexual attraction for this person. Because the energy between the two of us is flowing, and as a result, my own energy is flowing through me. You see, every time there's a part of your body that's blocked from an emotional or energetic point of view, the flow of your own energy does not occur, right? But as soon as we engage a person with a sympathetic injury, the flow of energy through yourself will occur, which will have the effect of opening up the first two chakras, which are basically the sexually motivated chakras of our body. Does that make sense? And now that this is open, these two are open because of the flow of energy that I've got happening out of this. This is in error and this is in error, but it causes a flow between. It's now causing a flow in me. So now I'm feeling sexual arousal due to the flowing of energy between myself and this other person. Do you see? I'm now feeling my own sexual arousal. The other person may not even be aware of it, right? But I will feel it.
It's very likely, though, that if these injuries are very complementary, we'd think this is the best love affair ever, and we're definitely soulmates and we can't get out of bed, because if our injuries are so complementary, it causes the flow of energy that's been blocked up and problematic for ages is open, and we feel this huge flow of sexual energy that we think is desire
for the other person. Now, the reality is if only one of these points open, we will already feel a level of sexual attraction, right? And the person can be 90 years old and I can be 20 and I'll feel it, right? It doesn't matter about age or anything else. It doesn't matter how they look. They can look pretty or ugly. It doesn't matter. I'll still feel it, right? There will still be this feeling that's generated, and therefore that will affect how I feel, and that will then motivate my choices and decisions. Now, imagine if there were two of these out of harmony with each other, but in sympathetic attraction. And the flow of energy between those two now occurring.
So, for example, if as a woman I have lots of sexual shame, I feel icky because something happened in my childhood and I feel my sexuality is dirty and I'm yuck. And here's a man who feels like, what would be the sympathetic injury? He feels like he doesn't have any sexual shame. He feels like he can do anything sexually and it doesn't bother him at all.
In other words, he's quite shameful how he uses his sexuality. The woman would then feel very comfortable with him. He's not going to shame her.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you understand?
Exactly.
Yeah. So now we've got two chakras totally open with the feelings flowing through ourselves, feelings flowing from the top to the base, flowing through ourselves. How strong is our sexual desire going to be now for that person? Much stronger, you see. Now imagine if there was 3 or 4, which is highly irregular, by the way, on the planet to have that many totally open in an injury state to each other. But imagine if there was 3 or 4. It would be such an overwhelming feeling, wouldn't it?
That we'd say it's not just sexual attraction, it's love.
Yeah. It's love, and she's my soulmate, or he's my soulmate, or whatever.
Like if I'm a woman who doesn't want to speak up because I'm afraid of men and I'm afraid of being shamed or humiliated, and I attract a man who's very willing to speak up in every situation and take care of all of those things.
And who feels that a woman needs to be kept quiet anyway.
Yep.
Right?
Then I'll be happy.
Another attraction.
Yeah.
Right? Can you see? The more of the injury attractions I have, the more of the injuries that I have that are sympathetic with the other person, the stronger the feeling is, the stronger the bond is, right? And that's the problem with sexual attraction on the planet. That's the problem. We're often in codependent sympathetic injuries, and the injuries are so intense that we're denying them, both parties are denying them, that when we do feel an attraction, we're not going, wow, what injury is causing this attraction? We're going, wow, this is it's a pure relationship. Now, on top of that, let's say on our sixth chakra that we have a large degree of connection with a group of spirits. In other words, I'm a male in this case, and I have a huge group of male spirits with me who are sexually dominant, and in fact, many of them might have even raped when they were on Earth or been sexually, really abusive while they were on Earth sexually. So let's say now I've got a connection with them. How would I generate a connection with them? I might be afraid of them, for example. Or I may feel like feel powerless without them. So in other words, I want the power they give me, the feeling of power and control they give me. Now imagine that. Now we've got spirits who can share in this flow of sexual energy passing through me when these things open. So what are those spirits going to want to do? They are going to want to find a woman with a codependency and also sympathetic addictions that will open me up by being with her, so they can now share in my experience, my sexual experience. Now, I not only have the complexity of dealing with my own unhealed emotions, but now I'm actually supporting the unhealed emotions of a group of spirits with me who are now looking at the women and going, there's one, there's one. And they're pointing out to this man, and he's drawn to look at them. They're pointing out to this man the women who he could get into bed with, right? Through their codependent addiction-based injuries. So now we have a group of spirits influencing and sharing from, like vampires, sharing on the sexual feelings that are passing through this man, and they are now setting up his love life for him. They are now actually pointing out the women, and he's drawn to those particular women as a result. They're pointing out the women with whom he feels an attraction, and the reason why is they wish to share in this flow of energy that's flowing through him. Or there might be women spirits with her wishing to share in the flowing of energy flowing through, or even male spirits with her wanting to share the flow of energy through her, and so they cause her to feel like, yeah, he's the man. He's the person that I want to be with. Can you see now it's getting quite complex in terms of attraction? This is where sexual attraction now has become so muddy that how do we even know what's going on? How do we know whether it's our own attraction or another person's attraction? And this is where much confusion results, where we have women spirits with us, men spirits with us. Usually most people have both genders with them due to the different injuries involved. Now, some of those women spirits, like if I had a group of men spirits with me who were attracted to men, or women spirits with me who were attracted to men, and my energy is going to flow even greater when a man is on the other end of this, even though a man's not my soulmate. The openness and the emotions involved and the spirit influence involved will cause me to feel an attraction to the male automatically. So I can even be confused about what gender my soul is actually attracted to in that state. And therefore we have a lot of sexual attraction confusion. And therefore many people feel like they're bisexual as a result, because they have both sets of injuries. Like, for example, as a male, I might be very, very angry with my father and very considerate of my mother, right? And then if I have a group of women with me who feel that I should feel that way, considerate of mum and angry with dad, those women may also then want to hook up sexually with another male, and they can, through the opening of these injuries and sexual feelings flowing through me, cause me to desire a male connection, when in reality I am a heterosexual male. So there's lots of confusion that can result through these injuries occurring between the two halves. Katerina, can we